Top 6 vampire movies. Number 6, Once Bitten. This movie starring Jim Carrey is an 80s vampire movie. As you'll see on this list, there are quite a few of them. um, it's funny, it's quirky, it's cute, it's sexy, it's all the things. Basically, guy that I can't even remember Jim Carrey's name in the movie. I'm sorry, I haven't watched it in a while. But he gets bitten by this hot lady vampire, turns into a vampire, doesn't really realize it at first, but he slowly makes his way through realizing he's a vampire, trying to keep his girlfriend after cheating on her with said lady vampire. And it's just his story about figuring himself out and trying to not be a vampire anymore, really. Really good movie. It's funny. It's cute. It's not to be taken seriously. If it wasn't for my brother, I wouldn't even know this movie exists. So, thank you, Bubby. Number 5, Interview with a Vampire. Starring Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Kristen Dunst, and Antonio Banderas. This movie is based on the book by Anne Rice. It has Brad Pitt's being interviewed. He's the vampire that's being interviewed, telling his story of how he came to be a vampire, about his trek, Louis and Lestat together doing their vampy thing. It's a really good movie. I honestly haven't watched it in a while, but it's one of my favorites. I think it's really good. Very interesting premise. I don't know, just a great movie. Number 4, Queen of the Damned. This movie starring the late great Aaliyah and a guy I'm really into, Stuart Townsend, follows the story of again the vampire Lestat, as he is a dead vampire, rock star, undead, however you want to put it. That's who he is. And he is perfectly fine with outing himself as a vampire when other vampires around him are like, bae, that's not it. But he does it anyway. The queen of the damned, so to speak, Akasha, played by Aaliyah, is down with it, but nobody else really is. So it's a pretty crazy movie. Really good. Music is phenomenal. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time in the history of movies ever. If you haven't heard the soundtrack, go listen to it. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It's really good. You won't regret it. Number 3, Van Helsing. This movie follows vampire hunter, I guess you could call him, Van Helsing, as he goes along the way to try to take out Dracula and his brides, and along the way helping out Frankenstein's monster. It's a really good movie. He's helping a family with their beef with vampires, if you will. Fantastic movie starring Kate Beckinsale, Hugh Jackman. It's amazing. Everything Hugh Jackman does is amazing. I love Hugh Jackman. I love Kate Beckinsale. One of her other movies almost made the list, Underworld: Rise of the Lycans, but we're not going to talk about that because that movie is just it's really good, but it's not Van Helsing. Van Helsing is one of my all-time favorite movies. Lots of action. It's funny. It's sexy. It's dark. It's just really good. Haven't seen it? Go check it out. Number 2. This was an issue for me. I almost had to tie up two movies together for number 1 because these two 80s movies make my life complete. But after long, hard thought, number 2, Lost Boys, as you guys are seeing right now. This is a very difficult decision. This movie starring my good friend Kiefer Sutherland, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. There's all kinds of great actors in this movie. The movie is just amazing. It follows Michael, a teenage boy who meets these vampires on the pier in Santa Clarita, California, and they become friends. At first, he doesn't realize it, but he's becoming friends with the undead. They're vampires. He becomes a vampire, and it goes through his whole journey with his family. His younger brother knows it before he really does. It's a great movie. It's funny. It's witty. It's good. It's creepy. It's got all the things. It is so great. I could probably talk about this movie for days, but I won't because I'm already going really long on this one. But this movie is phenomenal. And number 1, in my opinion, the greatest vampire movie of all time is the original, I said, Fright Night. that new crap can stay in the dark where it belongs. This movie, oh my god, what can I say about this movie? This is another one I could talk about all freaking day, starring Chris Sarandon as the most beautiful vampire on the face of the planet, Jerry Dandridge. Falls in love with this teen boy, Charlie Brewster's girlfriend Amy, because she looks like a woman he knew back in the day. He wants to turn her and have her fall in love with him, and Charlie ain't about it. Charlie realizes he's a vampire very early on in the movie. His friend Evil Ed is like, dude, you're crazy. But then Evil Ed comes to realize that he is a vampire. I'm telling you guys like the whole synopsis of this movie from start to finish. I just realized I can't help it. This movie is so freaking good. I watch it all the time. It is amazing. If you like sexy vampires that dance in a club with a girl, if you like derpy guys trying to stop this vampire from doing things, if you like crazy effects, like old school effects before CGI and all that shit, you guys need to check this movie out if you haven't seen it already. It is amazing. It is my all time favorite vampire movie ever in the history of the world. It did not need a remake. Colin Farrell needs to get out of here with that crap. But the old school, original, OG Fright Night is the quintessential best vampire flick in the history of the world. If you know me, you might have already known what number one was going to be, or you could have taken a guess whether it was going to be Fright Night or Lost Boys. If you don't know me, now you know. Fright Night is the greatest vampire movie ever. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. My next one is most likely going to be a top 10 sexy vampires in TV, movie, and video games because there's some hot ass vampires out there and I just needed to get them out after doing this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys mucho, mucho much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!